All right, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. How's everybody today on this rain-swept, potential flooding, wind advisory? What else is going on? But I'm glad to see you here. Thank you for coming. This is a special edition of our esteemed speaker series today. We rescheduled it because of obviously the impending Thanksgiving holiday that I hope that you all you're planning to enjoy. So we have a special guest today, and we'll introduce him shortly. But it's a consequence of, the relationships we're trying to establish with both industry and with government. And this gentleman represents the Brookhaven National Labs, which is also part of Department of Energy. And so in this relationship that we formulated that is driving some of the research that's going on, the projects that are going on, things of that nature that are happening here in the college. So as people come and talk in the speaker series that you see from time to time, more often than not, it's a relationship we're forging that will benefit you as students and as faculty members and staff. So, I want you to not only come out and support this, but also feel free to get contact information and reach out to the person because, they will probably have something, important to do or say or involved with the university. So Dr. Chan is going to come along and introduce our speaker. Now, for those of you who don't know, Dr. Chan is now the director of our Special Projects Lab, doing a lot of amazing, cool things that are happening. Some of it now is visible, like this car that has just been built, and now the Formula SAE project is underway. They're going to soon we're going to have a Formula One race car that the students have built, and I got something really interesting to talk to you about later. So all kind of stuff happening through the Special Projects Lab. So if you haven't been involved in that, and you want to get your hands on something, get your hands dirty, build something, make something happen based upon the knowledge, the science, and engineering that you have been studying, then meet up with Dr. Chan and talk to him. Now, what I want you to do is use this so you can get here and also, we'll just speak there, but right. Use this.
So I got a free time to promote my lab. Also, I need to make a little bit correction. Dr. Glenn keeps saying it's Formula One. No, it's Formula SAE. And Formula is more advanced, but it's close. And so if you, as a student, want to join us, come talk to me. And there's a lot of things for you to do. And you will learn a lot. And you will gain a lot, too. Anyway, today we have a speaker for the speaker series, Dean Speaker Series, and who is a best friend of mine from Brookhaven National Lab. And he is the University Relations and DOE Internship Program Manager in the Office of Educational Programs at Brookhaven National Lab. For those who don't know, Brookhaven National Lab is in Long Island. It's one of the most amazing labs I've been, and it homes of 7 Nobel Prize laureates. And I fortunately worked there for 3 summers. It's really is an eyes-opening experience. And I guess since he's preparing, okay, so without further delays, let me introduce Noel Blackburn.
Hello. Hello. No. This is not good enough. We have too many students, great-looking students, to give me a hello. So hello. Hello. No, that's better. Thank you very much, Dr. Glenn, for inviting me down to Alabama A&M. You all have a beautiful university here. I had to cancel a very important function today, but I couldn't miss out this opportunity to come to A&M to talk with you all. So thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come to here boring me. But my name is Noel Blackburn, and I'm from Brookhaven National Lab. So the worst thing that ever happened to me was about 4 years ago, I came up with a certain word to describe Brookhaven National Lab. And then about 2 months ago, I realized that Subway stole my word. They started advertising and saying they had the bestest subs in the world. And I used to say 4 years ago that Brookhaven National Lab is the bestest national lab in the world. If I had patented that, today I would be a very rich man. Unfortunately, I'm not. However, I'm here representing the Department of Energy, specifically Brookhaven National Lab. And let me see if I have this correct. So let's talk about the what. Is it okay if I walk around? Yes? Okay. Let's talk about the what. I have up there what. And what questions? What about questions? The thing about being ahead of the curve is asking the right questions, asking the difficult questions so that we can create research. With the right questions, you develop good research, and it leads to innovation. And what innovation leads to? It leads to the quality of life. So here in America, we enjoy a quality of life that anyone across the globe will want to come to America to enjoy. But it all begins with questions, which leads to research, which gives you innovation, that then gives you that quality of life. So my presentation today is based on this, quality of life. But more importantly, students and professors, is to come up with those questions that one will challenge you so that you can be ahead of the curve. A lot of times, we at the Department of Energy, we like to say that we want the best and brightest. The Department of Energy is designed to deal with the science of energy. But there is a part of their mission that is missed, which is dealing with user facilities. So let's just look at this map for a while. Oh, there isn't a, okay. The Department of Energy has 17 national labs, of which they have 10 Office of Science national labs and 5 multidisciplinary labs. On the East Coast, you have the only lab in the Northeast area, which is Brookhaven National Lab, which is a multidisciplinary lab. We have other multidisciplinary lab in Lawrence, Berkeley, in California. We have Oak Ridge, we have Argonne National Lab, and we have Pacific Northwest. These are multidisciplinary labs. But what I started off saying, Brookhaven National Lab is the bestest national lab. So if you all want to do bestest research and come up with the bestest questions, you'll come to BNL. So this here is PNNL, just a quick overview. This here is Berkeley. This here is Oak Ridge. This here is Argonne National Lab. But let's talk about Brookhaven National Lab. Brookhaven National Lab, a lot of times people think, well, you know, probably a few buildings. Brookhaven National Lab has 7 Nobel Prize winners. We have about 3,000 employees, of which about 1,000 to 1,200 are scientists and engineers. We are nestled on 5,300 acres of land. We have over 300 buildings. We have an Olympic-sized swimming pool, 2 gas stations, 4 baseball fields, 6 tennis courts, our own fire station, police station. And if you all were to put this into, excuse me, into Google, the number 11973, we have our own zip code. We are a tongue within a tongue. It's huge. But we have 3 major facilities. A lot of you all may have heard about CERN, which is this major collider in Europe that covers 3 countries. We have the relativistic heavy ion collider, which takes gold ions, accelerate them close to the speed of light, and collide them in things called detectors or huge cameras to see what happens with the collision. And that gives us an idea of the beginning of time. A lot of you all may look at the show on TV, Big Bang. Basically, we're trying to understand the origins of the universe. And in 2009, Brookhaven National Lab, through this particular facility, got the best physics experiment in the world. We then have the Center for Functional Nanomaterials and the National Synchrotron Light Source, which is based on the same principles of the RIC, where you have an ion accelerating around a magnetic field, and when it bends a corner, it gives off bright light in this magnetic field. If you were to tap into that light is brighter than X-rays, so you can actually identify and look at structures of material at the atomic level. The National Synchrotron Light Source 2 is the brightest light source in the world today. So we have world-class facilities. This is Brookhaven National Lab. To the top there, that racetrack that you're seeing there, that's Rick. Uh-oh, what did I do? That's Rick. Now, the problem I didn't do with this picture is if I were to have someone like myself stand in this picture, they may only come up to here. So that tells you the magnitude, the size of this detector. And that's the star detector. This here is the National Synchrotron Light Source 2, the brightest synchrotron light source in the world today. This is Synchrotron Light Source 1, and we have decommissioned her since. This is the Center for Functional Nanomaterials, and we have a number of really world-class facilities in there, to the point where for one of the SEMs and the TEMs, we had to construct this building on 3 separate foundations because Brookhaven National Lab is on Long Island, New York. It's an island, and we're very close to the beaches. And the wave impact created that's transferred through the earth creates a small vibration. And if you have to get to the nano level, and nano is 9 to the minus 9. So if you have to get down that small, any little vibration, you wouldn't be able to take that off. So we had to construct the building on separate foundations in order to remove that. Now, in order for you to be able to get something very close to the speed of light, you had to boost it. So this is the booster for Rick. This here is our chemistry department, and we have something called the LEAF. And LEAF stands for LEAF, Laser Electron Accelerator Facility. And it deals with pulse radiation and radiation chemistry. As a matter of fact, we're hosting an international conference in radiation chemistry. And for those professors who might be interested in probably taking up a new area of research, I would suggest to seriously take a look at our LEAF and radiation chemistry and what it can do for your research moving forward. This here is our PET imaging, but we have since moved away from it And I have to take off that from here because we no longer do any PET imaging or neuroimaging. This here is the largest solar facility in the Northeast. 200 acres of photovoltaic cells, a 32 megawatt farm. And we do have a supercomputer, New York Blue, that's housed at BNL. And this is the basis for our center called Computational Science Center. And this is where I work. This person was the chancellor of the SUNY system at BNL, and we got her to come and talk as a keynote speaker for our closing ceremony. So, where am I going with all of this? We started off with questions. Questions usually come from concerns. Rising Above the Gathering Storm. If you all have not read it, please try get a copy and read, or at least Google it and read the summary. There is a concern nationally, and the concern is all about you guys, students. The thing is, America leads on the international front in innovation, but the rest of the world is catching up with America. And if we do not create an opportunity and an environment where you young students can thrive and be the best you can, then what happens is the rest of the world will catch up with us. And Rising Above the Gathering Storm is saying, if we have America may lose its prominence in international dominance in intellectual properties. And if that were to happen, we may not regain our dominance. And that's a concern for innovation and the quality of life that we enjoy right now. So, one of the concerns in my office, we decided to take a look at the entire pipeline because NSF says the pipeline is leaky. So we looked at the entire pipeline. We decided that we needed to have programs to address these areas in the pipeline. We see over 38,000 students a year at BNL. So let's come back here. Questions lead to research, lead to innovation that gives you that quality of life. Please remember that. It's very important. And what that leads to is internships. Internships for students. And why is it important that students have an internship program? It's important because you don't want to waste 4 years doing physics and you realize you love chemistry. And it's not that it's a waste of time, but you want to focus so that you can find your passion. That's what it's all about. All your professors here, they have found their passion, I hope. Right, Dr. Glenn? I hope they found it. If not, find it. But they have found their passion. Students, you have to find your passion. Science and engineering is the way to go. I'm an engineer, and I have a little joke back in the office with scientists. I like to tell scientists that they all create the problems, but engineers solve them. So all you engineering students, be proud, because you are solvers. And that's what we need in this country. That's what we need in this world. And the opportunity is all yours. Because as we identified, we need to maintain the dominance into the intellectual property of the world. And we need you all to continue. So internship programs give you the insight into whether or not this is the area that you want to do for the rest of your life. So we have a program at BNL called the mini semester program. It's coupled with something called the mini course. The mini course, unfortunately, it's for New York State specific, so I will not go into that. But I'll go into the mini semester. The mini semester is a 1-week program that's during the winter break where you come to BNL and you're introduced to everything at BNL. It's 5 days. You come in, you have your training that you have to do, you meet researchers, you listen to lectures, you go on tours, and you do something very interesting, which is called a reverse interview, where you are broken up into groups and you have scientists where you do something similar to speed dating. And the students will interview the scientists to understand what made them and why they decided to become a scientist. Because you know what? When I was growing up, I was under the impression that a scientist had to be an Einstein. Well, I'll tell you all something. A scientist has to be dedicated. They had problems with Calc 1, 2, and 3 just like you. They hated thermodynamics just like you. They fell asleep, well, I hope not just like you. I would like to know that you all stay awake in the classes. But the point is, they are human beings just like you. Your professors are human beings just like you. But you know what's the difference? The difference is that they were dedicated, committed to something that they wanted to do. And it's all about spending time and energy. I remember those nights when I had a thermodynamics problem to do, and it took me 4 hours and I didn't get it right. And I still went back in and talked to my professor to find out what I had to do and where I was going wrong. And I left not knowing what it is I had to do because he confused me even more. But at the ending of the semester, I got an A because I was dedicated. That's what you all have to be. You all have to pay attention in your classrooms. As much as you may not like the professor and you may not like what I'm saying here, but you have to listen to him because he has something that you don't have, and you need to get that. Unfortunately, I have probably 10,000 resumes right now that I have to look at, and I will tell my assistant, do me a favor. Give me those resumes that have a 3.5 GPA. She might bring back half. Then I'll tell her, go through and bring those that have some sort of experience, meaning internships. That's where it is you get your experience, through internships. Because a lot of you all will be looking to come out with a first degree and look to enter the workforce. Nothing is wrong with that, because it's important. But when you go out to send out your resume for jobs, they may ask you for 1 year experience or 2 years experience. And the way you get experience is through internship programs. This mini semester program is an introductory to Brookhaven National Lab so you can understand. But more importantly, it's to create something called networking. And networking is critical. I know some of you all might be saying, hey, you know, I'm not going to deal with them. I'm all cool, you know. But I'll tell you something, your professors and your dean and your chairs, they are the ones who have the connections. You network with them, they network with their network, and you get opportunities. It's about how you can network, and trust me, it's important. Now let's get to these 3 programs. These 3 programs are summer programs. For students, they are paid internship programs. For 10 weeks during the summer, you can earn $5,000. For 10 weeks during the summer, you can live on campus for free. And you can get round-trip transportation to and from BNL to your home. So let's recap quickly. You can make $5,000 while you get some experience to show that you know what it is you're doing and tell yourself that this is the area that I want to be. Plus, I can live at BNL for free, and I get a round-trip transportation. And what's so bad about New York City, which is just 60 miles east of Brookhaven National Lab? What is so bad about having a 15-minute trip down to the coastline and enjoy Jones Beach or Smith Point Beach? Wow, all of that for the summer. Not a bad deal. I'm not going to talk about the CCI program. It's for community college. I'm going to talk about the SULI program. The SULI program is where you can come to BNL and do research. Not just go make copies, do research. You would be tagged with a researcher, and with all due respect to Dr. Chance and all the professors, all due respect, but at BNL, we see you all students differently. Correctly so, they see you all as students, and that's correct, because they are in the business of teaching you all. We are in the business of training, so we see you all as colleagues, as young collaborators. Nothing is wrong with your professors seeing you all as students, because that's who you all are. But we see the future in you all as young collaborators. And you get to do real research at BNL or any of the national labs. The SULI program is national. So if you don't like the bestest lab, you could go to some other lab, like Berkeley or Oak Ridge or Argonne. No, they are all great, don't get me wrong. You can, my point here is you have an option through this program to go anywhere in the United States to do research and do real research. The one that I really am excited about is called the VFP. It used to be called FAST. It used to be called Faculty and Student Teams. It's now Visiting Faculty Program, where a faculty from any accredited university can come to BNL or to any one of the labs to collaborate with a collaborator at BNL for 10 weeks during the summer on a mutually agreed project. And again, it's a paid stipend. I will not divulge the professor's stipend for you students, but it's similar. At the ending of the 10 weeks, what needs to happen? We need to know that you all actually did some work. So we have a closing ceremony, and at the closing ceremony, each and every student will have to present a poster. You all will have deliverables after the 10 weeks. You have to do a research paper. You have to do an oral presentation, and you have to peer interview one of your interns. In other words, you would have to interview a student, and that student may have to interview you on the research that they have done for the 10 weeks while they're here at BNL. That tells us whether or not you were able to accomplish what we hope that you'll be accomplishing, which is research in itself. So, why BNL? We have 7 Nobel Prize winners. Why BNL? We have 3,000 staff. Why BNL? We have the brightest NSLS light source in the world. Why BNL? We have the Nano Center and RIC. Why BNL? Because we have a very great relationship with minority serving institutions. And we were the only national lab to start something called Increase, where minority professors from minority serving institutions or minority professors from minority serving institutions or minority professors from major research institutions can come together and collaborate together. That's Increase. So, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of things, because I'm already seeing where Dr. Glenn is telling me, hey, cut it, cut it, cut it. I'm just putting him on the spot right now. So, the applications for the summer, they're open. You all should go to bnl.gov, and I will have some handouts that I'll leave in the dean's office. The applications are open. They close January 8th. Around January 29th, we'll be able to see your application so we could start making placements. And by March, the middle of March, you all should be hearing from us so that you can know whether or not you'll be coming to BNL to do research. So, where do you go get your applications? If you were to go on to bnl.gov, and click on education, you'd come to our web page. This is our web page. You click on students, you would see programs and contests. You click on programs and contests, you would see the programs that we're talking about. Visiting faculty program, the SULI program. This is the one that you all will be interested in. You click on that, you'll get here. You'd see apply to SULI. You apply to SULI. How to apply. Then you go to the right corner, you access a link that you click on, and then you start your application process. You'd have to develop a username and a password, and you keep that username and password throughout. Once you start your application, you need a few things. If you attended a school prior to coming to A&M, you need to supply the transcript for that school. You need to get 2 recommendations from referees, preferably your professors. And let me tell you all, students, when you go for a recommendation, don't just go and say, Professor, could you give me a recommendation? Say, Professor, can you give me a very good recommendation for this program? But make sure that you're going to a professor that you did well in his class so that he can remember you. And what that ties back to? That ties back to you paying attention in class and doing what you need to do, doing all your homeworks and all your projects. Where I'm going with this is your future depends on what you do in the classroom and the interaction you have with your professor. Regardless of what, you want something that they already have, which is to get a degree and to understand and learn. Remember where this is going back to. This is going back to questions, the great questions that lead to research, that keeps you ahead of the curve so that you can innovate, which leads to quality of life. Okay? If it's one thing I want you all to leave here with, is to have a question in mind, is to understand that the future of America depends on you. I know you all think that's wild. It isn't. I always try to analyze and link things to a bigger picture. And that bigger picture is the next generation of intellectuals. I do not say scientists and engineers anymore. I say intellectuals are you all. When I am in my 90s, and hopefully I'm not in a hospital, but if I happen to be in a hospital, I would like to know that the equipment that is being used on me, you all designed it. Yes, I am saying to you all, with the correct questions, you all can do great things. If it was easy to be in a university, everyone on the street will be in here today. Everyone on the streets are not here today. You all were selected either by yourselves, by your parents, or by somebody else to be here. Take this opportunity and run with it. Do not take it for granted. And with that, thank you very much for listening.